So why am I doing this? Why am I presenting this information for free for anyone to access? Welcome to the Overcome Depression podcast. The tools you learn here can make depression a part of your past, allow healing regardless of your present circumstances, and offer hope for your future. I am your host, Jennifer Stirling-Campbell. Honestly, it's because I believe the world needs you, and you are not at your best when you're depressed or anxious, when your chemistry isn't right. You just cannot perform the way you want to. I know I couldn't. When I was depressed, I was a mess. Most of the time, I could not function. And so it was all I could do just to keep my head on straight, get through the day. I really don't think it would have been possible for me to fulfill my purpose here on this planet, help the people I was meant to help, and do the things I was meant to do if I had remained depressed and angry for the rest of my life. And so it is my goal to help as many people as possible overcome this debilitating disease and thrive so that they can do and help and be everything that they were meant to be here. I do believe in divine providence. I believe that there is a God and that he has a purpose for us, and that we don't have to wait until we're dead to heal. I was raised Christian, and it's kind of one of those fallacies that I think a lot of religious people tend to be taught, or at least they interpret it or understand it wrong, where we're taught to endure to the end. It's a true principle, but it falls in that we are not intended to suffer here. The whole premise of Christ coming was so that we could basically hand over our suffering to him so that we would not have to suffer. Literally, he says that in the scriptures. So again, I want to say here, just moving forward, that if you are not a religious person, that is totally okay. And I hope you can forgive me in a sense for speaking from a Christian filter, and take whatever I say as a grain of salt, if you will, and filter it through your own belief system, your own filter. Because while this is how I think, this is how I feel, this is what I believe, I understand that not everyone thinks the way I do, and I'm certainly not right about everything either. So if you could please do that for me, and hang on, don't leave the podcast just because you don't believe the same things I do, because the principles that I'm teaching remain the same, no matter what belief system you're part of. But again, this idea that we have to suffer in order to be a good person. I think I used to feel that way, that if I do all the right things, and I read my scriptures and I pray and I go to church and I'm nice to people and I don't steal, then hopefully I'll go to heaven, and then maybe he'll reward me for my efforts. And I think that's wishful thinking. I think that it's going to be a lot easier to heal here with a body than it will be when we've passed on, when we don't have a body to work with. That's my own personal feeling, testimony, but I believe it is true. And so for years I told myself this because I didn't know how to heal. I didn't know how to overcome the depression. I felt stuck. I felt some manner of hopelessness and despair because no matter how hard I tried, it just didn't seem to matter. My efforts seemed in vain. Eventually, even if I was trying so hard not to get angry, because anger was kind of my Achilles heel, I'd eventually hit a point of explosion, and my willpower was all used up, and then it was just over, and it was awful. I mean, I would hurt other people. I was embarrassed. I would say terrible things that I wished I could take back. And I know we all do this, but for me, it was a moment-to-moment fight. I was constantly on edge, ready to be triggered at any moment, and so it was scary to be me, and not comfortable for my family specifically to be around me. I could control myself in public, but when I was around the people I loved, the people who I really needed that closeness to, those were the people I was hurting and pushing away. And that went into my marriage as well. So now I'm going to time travel back to 1984 when I was born, because this story has a beginning and it has an ending that I'm not even sure what it is yet, because I haven't reached an ending, but the in-between has been pretty incredible. I was born rather serious. My grandfather called me sober sides. And he would laugh when he saw it because I just never smiled. I had this very serious expression all the time. And my mom was trying to get me to smile, and because she was concerned that maybe I was handicapped because she's just not smiling. And finally, they got a little grimace out of me, and she's like, "Oh, good, she's all right." But I remember being a child and looking around at the other children. I mean, I did this as an adult too, and thinking about how relaxed they seemed, how much fun they were having. And I wanted to enjoy that experience too. And I would observe and try to mimic it, but I just didn't feel it. Like, I wanted to involve myself and play. And not that I didn't have any friends, I just struggled. I just took life so seriously. I struggled to relax. I struggled to really like myself because I was frankly pretty much born depressed. And I didn't know why or how I was different. It took me a long time to figure out that there was a reason that everyone was different than me, because they weren't suffering from the same thing that I was suffering from. But a lot of my childhood, my mother didn't know what to do with me. She did the best she could. In fact, she went and got help herself because I was so difficult. I was, the tantrum child and the one pulling my sister's hair and getting angry a lot. But for me, it was just hard. My mom took me to counseling. She tried to teach me ways of behaving. And yes, I knew and I learned how to navigate society and to do the things and be the things, be polite, and what it meant to be a good person, but what I was supposed to do and act and be. And it just didn't seem to matter. I couldn't be the person that I wished I was. And I felt very jealous, even at a young age, of other people who were happy. I kind of wished that other people weren't so happy because it made me feel bad. And at the age of 15, I started taking Prozac. My mom didn't know what else to do, and this was kind of a new drug that was just doing miracles for people. And she had started taking it and found that it was very helpful for her. And so she got me a prescription as well. And I was told by the doctor that, yeah, this is just how it is. This is how you are. It's probably genetic. Your mom struggles with it. You probably will too for the rest of your life. But aren't you lucky you got this pill that'll fix it? And sure enough, it did calm me down so that I wasn't so volatile, so that I wasn't biting people's heads off or taking life quite so seriously. It did affect my libido. It also affected my ability to connect, empathize. But prior to taking it, I was so wrapped up in myself that it was hard to do that anyway. So either way, it was kind of as far as the empathy was concerned. It also made me yawn a lot. And to this day, I think about yawning and, oh, there we go, like I'm yawning automatically. And I would forget my homework more often when I was taking Prozac. But generally, I felt like this was a really good solution. And I took it for about 10 years. At the end of those 10 years, I was married, had a couple kids, and I was talking to my mom on the phone one day. And she told me that she'd been to her doctor and that she had some concerns about the Prozac, and that he had told her that, well, yes, there are some long-term effects that are showing up that are maybe a little concerning to some people. It seems that people who take this long-term, any kind of antidepressant, are kind of losing all motivation and kind of turning into couch potatoes. Like, they just don't want to really do anything. The idea of this was horrific to me. I could not imagine, I did not want to imagine that ever being me. And in that moment, and I'll talk about this a lot because it's so important, but it was a moment of decision, this surrender where I knew in my heart, I can't beat this. I'm not strong enough. I just can't. But I don't know what else to do. And I literally threw my hands up and said, God, you made me. Fix me. I can't take this drug anymore. I can't let this happen to me. Please help. And I went on with my day and my week. I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks later that I was at a wedding that I didn't want to be at. It was for a cousin of my husband and husband a cousin of my husband's, and it was just one of those situations where you're going to the wedding going, this isn't going to last. I mean, it didn't, but I was there to support. And at the time, and even now, I rarely watch television. But as we were waiting for the wedding to start, the TV in one of the back rooms was on. And there was this guy, this expert of sorts. I'm not sure who he was. I can't remember, but I'll forever be grateful to him. He was talking about omega-3s and how good they are for you and how we don't get enough in our society. And so he was talking about flaxseed and fish and nuts, all the ways you can get more omega-3s into your diet. And he kind of offhandedly said, and actually I looked it up since, and I think he must have got the wrong country because I looked up the statistic and said, oh no, actually this country is really depressed. But according to him, and the point was I needed to hear it because it kind of perked up my ears. And he said, it's really interesting. Greenland is one of the darkest places in the world. And yet they're one of the least depressed. And I think it's because they eat so much fish. And when I heard that, I immediately thought, well, I've tried fish oil before. Nothing like that's ever helped me. But it sounds healthy. I mean, why not? I'll start eating more omega-3s. So starting that week, and for the next several months, I started making a conscientious effort to eat more omega-3s, to consume more omega-3s. I did more fresh olive oils. I ate fish 3 days a week. And I was very consistent with it. And at the end of about 3 months, I had run out of my Prozac prescription. And normally by about day 3 of not having it, I was a total mess. And I was standing there and realized, oh my gosh, I need to go get my meds. So I started getting ready to go. And it was day 5 of not having taken the Prozac. And as I was getting ready to go, I stopped for a minute. And I just started thinking, and I went, wait a minute. Kind of took an inventory of myself, my body, my thoughts, the last 5 days. And I realized that, oh my gosh, I feel fine. Oh my gosh, it's working. I could not believe it. I mean, it was so overwhelming and so powerful that such a simple thing could make me okay, that I realized I don't have to take Prozac anymore. And I immediately started to cry, and I said a prayer of thanks. Like, I cannot thank you enough for what you've done for me. This is a miracle. Miracle, because had I gone much longer, I may have fallen off the bandwagon, stopped eating fish 3 days a week. I also learned later, I'm talking like years later, that it takes about 3 months for omega-3s, if you're consistently taking them, to really have an effect on your brain and your body. Most of us don't get enough of the healthy fats, and it affects our brains. And so really the timing of this, of me quote unquote forgetting to get the meds, was just not likely. And yet that's what happened. And I'm just, it was so, it changed my life, and it changed my perspective that if this can work, something like eating fish 3 days a week, what more can I do? What more can I do? And I'm an Aquarius. My website's imaquarius.com. But I just wanted to as much information as I could get. I want to learn more. I want to learn more. Anything that I can learn to improve on this. And I wanted to continue to move forward and improve, because I knew that the journey wasn't over yet. I still struggled with things, but my state of being was better eating fish than it was taking Prozac. And so I never went back. I never got another prescription. I never filled another prescription again for Prozac. And I started looking for ways. And in fact, my husband, he actually was interested in this with me. We started experimenting with natural remedies when we get sick and learn all kinds of things. And the more I learned, the more excited I became. And the more I felt in control of my life and my body. I feel like so many people out there, believe that we need to stop going to our doctors first. We need to listen to our intuition first. We're going to everyone else for answers when the answers are inside of us. And I really, truly believe that God can answer our prayers if we're willing to essentially let go of our limiting beliefs that, well, this is how it is. Let go of those things and open it up to that there may be possibilities that you have not thought of yet, that only God knows. And I've heard so many people say, well, I've tried everything and nothing works. And I want to say, you tried everything? I'm sorry, but if you'd tried everything, I think you would have found something that works. It's truly, you have not tried everything. Maybe you've tried everything you know, or tried everything that's been suggested to you. But I really don't think that God sent us down here to just be miserable for the rest of our lives, no matter what you're dealing with. It could be, more traumatic than I've been through. I really don't know. But I truly believe that there is healing for everything. And if there's not, there's a really good reason for that. Something that you really need to experience on this planet. Then I'm talking like quadriplegic, things that, okay, well, that's probably not going to be healed. Possible, but probably not. But there's so many things that we write off as incurable because our doctor said so. Or because the statistics say so. And I've learned not to believe what people say. I've learned to consider it. And I hope that when I deliver this information to you, that you consider what I'm telling you. Don't just believe everything I'm saying. Just don't believe everything that everyone else says. Don't believe every thought in your head either. You're going to need to learn how to access your own intuition to recognize truth. And we're going to go over that in another podcast. But I have since met a handful of people who have legitimately suffered from debilitating depression, addiction, anxiety, and have fully recovered from it. It's not enough. I want this whole world to be full of people who are leaving these demons behind and finding that they are so capable of moving past this and embracing the light and becoming exactly who they were meant to become. I truly believe that whatever weaknesses we were sent here with, are actually our strengths. That because, and again, please filter this through whatever belief system filter you have, but my perspective is that there are evil forces that know who we are. They have a really good idea of who our identity is, what we are capable of. And I don't think they spare any energy from the time we are conceived, from the time we are a child, to attack us and convince us that we are the opposite, that we have the opposite strengths, that we are weak in the areas that we are strong. Because if we can be debilitated like that, we can't fight the way we were intended. And we won't do the kind of damage they hope we won't do, if that makes sense. I wake up every morning. I hope that Satan says, no, she's awake again every time. And I plan to do that every day for the rest of my life. And eventually, as I hope that he's scared when I go to bed too, because I'm going to be dreaming about amazing things. So here is how this program works. I want to go over some of this with you so you kind of understand where I'm going to take you here. Essentially, everybody's healing is so different. So I will be interviewing people I know who have overcome great obstacles, had great odds, and triumphed over depression, anxiety, and other addictions. And for everyone that I've ever met or listened to a podcast about or heard or read their story, there's this moment of decision, this moment of surrender. It's pretty much across the board. They all look different, but the principle is the same. It's this giving up, this I can't do it, save me. And it's not a giving up like, oh, I'm just tossing in the towel here. I'm not trying anymore. Good luck. And that's the path that often leads to more depression, addiction, and so forth, and really poor decisions. The other side of that is surrender, giving it to a higher power and saying, I can't do it. Will you do this for me? Or this moment of, I can't keep doing what I'm doing. I have to change now. And those moments make all the difference. Now, getting to that moment is not always as easy said than done. It can take some chipping away. It can take some getting rid of belief systems. I think of, in terms of, again, Christian perspective, but Enos, when he goes out into the woods and he's praying, and it's this euphoric change of heart and this, oh my gosh, I've been forgiven. And I've been taught in church my whole life that, well, that's usually not the norm. Not everybody has those kind of epic experiences. And I kind of disagree. I mean, not with the fact that people don't always have those experiences, but that experience isn't necessary for each and every one of us. That we have to reach that point of total surrender and a point of decision. And it's powerful, but you're going to have to get there on your own. I can't tell you how that's going to happen, but I can lead you through a process that will help get you there and start helping you make progress along the way. Just like eating the fish 3 days a week made this miraculous change in me. It didn't fix everything, but it made it so that I could finally move forward. Because part of that, I felt stuck. It was almost like I was beating myself up against this wall and just hurting myself, and it was pointless. I could not break through this wall. But after I discovered that eating fish 3 days a week could get me off of the Prozac, it felt like that wall was now obliterated, and all I had to do was now walk forward, which was I can't even tell you how freeing that was. But I do want to read through some of these steps. Basically 4 things that I will present to you in these podcasts that you'll want to be kind of aware of as you go through this program. So for the first 21 to 30 days, you're going to listen to all the podcasts with the same hashtag. You can listen to them as many times as you want, but don't get too excited and moved forward too quickly, or to the next chapter, for example, until you've worked on the introduction podcasts or whatever chapter you're on for at least 21 to 30 days. Now, a lot of times it takes at least 90 days to establish a habit, at least 21. But the idea is that whatever challenges you decide to accept, and there's all kinds of tiers. I mean, there's really difficult, there's easy, and everything in between. You can make up your own, but they're designed so that you have this slow and steady progression, this what do they call it? Progressive extremism, as they say, where you don't actually stop doing the thing. It becomes a part of your life. And that's not to say that every exercise that you're asked to do, you have to keep doing. You might replace it with something else, but lifestyle choices, things like that. I'm going to introduce a lot of new ways of thinking, a lot of new ways of eating, a lot of new ways of taking care of your body, that if you just take one of those things in those 21 to 30 days and you implement that, and then you keep implementing that as you adopt another thing over the next 21 to 30 days, that your body and your chemistry and your mind will start to evolve and change. Your spirit will heal. So it's not necessarily an overnight thing. It can be. I mean, some people feel a difference immediately, but for some people, it takes some months. All right. Number 2. Next, download my amazing workbook. Link is in the description. It's the Overcome Depression workbook, and I love it. I kind of created it myself. Again, this is kind of a 10 years in my brain trying to figure out how I was going to do this thing, and I suggest printing it out and putting it somewhere you'll see it every day. There's a section for extra credit. There's challenges in there. There's some writing assignments. Please, again, commit to only the challenges you're ready to actually fully 100% commit to. And don't feel too bad if you fall off the bandwagon here and again, but you really do want to be decided on what it is you're going to do and to do it. So leaving the book out somewhere where you can see it or setting alarms on your phone can be really helpful. At the end of each week, this is number 3, decide on a day, put it in your calendar, set an alarm, and use the pages at the back of each chapter in the workbook to rate your joy level for the week, like an average on a scale of 1 to 10. Now, this is important because people who are struggling with mental disorder, depression, anxiety, they do tend to be kind of pessimistic, tend to be a little bit down on themselves. And so even if they're doing something and it's working, if they're having a bad day, they'll just blow it off like, oh, it's not working, I'm a failure. And so if you actually do this every week and rate yourself on a level of 1 to 10, like, how did this week go? You can go back and see your progress. And there will obviously be weeks where you take a step back and you maybe had a rough week. But over time, the idea is that it's going to slowly eke up from a 3 to a 4 consistently to 5 and so forth. And actually writing that down and notating it can help you to keep that hope and remind yourself that, yes, you are improving. Look at all that you've done. Lastly, this is number 4. If you know someone struggling with depression, share your success with them and invite them to listen to this podcast. Again, I really want this to get out there. I want as many people as possible to access this information and utilize it. And I want this world to be full of people who are going back to their doctor and getting their doctor to help them to wean off their medications and thriving, not just existing, not just, oh, my life's okay. I mean, I'm doing all right. Like, I turned out okay. Like, wait, yeah, I'm just like, you just want to be okay? I mean, that is just not okay with me. I want to be amazing. And not that you're going to be amazing every day, but most of the time, we were designed to be beings of joy, to experience love every day, and to be able to feel that. Because when I was depressed, I didn't love anybody. I didn't love myself. I couldn't. There wasn't any part of me that was capable of truly loving anyone. I could do loving things, and I did the best I could, but when I basically got my heart back, and that took some time, I've gotten to the point where even when I feel tremendous pain, I'm so grateful that I have a heart that can feel pain as well as joy. If you decide that this just isn't for you, you're not ready, you need to think about not just today, next week, next year. Think long term, like 10 years down the road. If you're consistently moving forward, your life could be astronomically different just with just these little incremental steps that you're willing to take, some of which could be through this program. And I truly believe that if you are willing to do that, that your life will be so much the better. Even a year from now, a month from now, possibly. If you choose not to do anything, your life may essentially stay the same. You may feel the same anyway. Handling in the same manner, feeling the same depression, possibly even backsliding to worse. Which I think we've all done from time to time. There's no shame in that, but it would be a shame if you just gave up on yourself and decided, well, nothing's ever worked for me. I don't want to try. Please try. Please join me on this journey. I want so badly for you to heal. I want for you to thrive. I want for you to do on this planet what you were meant to do, and to do it well. And that is my literal prayer for you. So I am so grateful that you are here. And how do I end this? I'm pretty new at this podcast thing. I guess I'll end with that I am your host, Jennifer Stirling-Campbell, and this is the Overcome Depression podcast. If you are new to this podcast, please go watch all of the hashtag introduction videos first, and then consider downloading the Overcome Depression workbook. Links in the description. The content in this podcast is based on my own personal beliefs, is for informational purposes only, and is not intended to substitute for medical advice, diagnoses, or treatment. Please refer to the full legal disclaimer in the description.